are thrilled to be having the Emancipation Proclamation, the original document, the one with the official seal from the government and Lincoln's original signature, here at the Tennessee State Museum during this time. Usually this document is kept in storage in the National Archives, so people can go to Washington D.C. and still not be able to see this wonderful document, one of the most important documents in American history. The Archives organized this show about 5 years ago to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation and of the Civil War, and of the signing of the original 13th Amendment, which is also part of this exhibit and will be on view since September 1st. The Emancipation Proclamation, however, is so fragile we can only have it on public view for 72 hours, and we've spread that out over a 72-hour period, over 7 days. That's why we're having so many crowds. We've done timed reservations to allow people, as many people as possible, to be able to see it. We anticipate we'll be accommodating up to 24,000 people during the 7-day period. The document has only been on display. We're the only place in the Southeast where it is going to be on display during this time. It was on display in Detroit 2 years ago, in Houston last year, and in Washington D.C. for 1 day during January 1st, the actual anniversary of the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. After it leaves here, it will go back into storage in the archives and not be brought out again for several years. The Civil War was sort of at a stalemate when Abraham Lincoln decided that he needed to issue this proclamation. It did not free all slaves, however. It just freed slaves in the rebellious states. What that did was it allowed many of the slaves in the rebellious states to leave their plantations where they were enslaved and join the Union Army. This was the first time that black men were allowed into the armies of the United States of America. This was a turning point in the war. President Lincoln realized that he needed to free slaves throughout the United States, and that's when he started getting the 13th Amendment before Congress. It was the signing of the 13th Amendment that actually freed all slaves throughout the United States of America. If anybody has seen the recent Lincoln movie, produced by Steven Spielberg, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, they'll know the story, the backstory behind the signing of the 13th Amendment. And I think what's also interesting about this exhibit is we have the proposed 13th Amendment, which was proposed under President Buchanan, the president before Lincoln, and that proposed 13th Amendment was actually going to allow slavery throughout the entire United States. When Lincoln, he took that entire document, changed one sentence, and that one sentence freed millions of Americans and changed the course of history in this country. So it's very, very interesting to have these three documents in this exhibit: the proposed 13th, the original 13th, and the original Emancipation Proclamation. We were able to offer this exhibit to our visitors here because of Senator Lamar Alexander and his wife Honey are very active in Washington, D.C. with the National Archives. They knew about the exhibit. They talked to Governor Haslam and the legislature, and they were able to provide the funding, and that way we were able to offer it free for our visitors. It will be on view till September 1st, and we'll have many lectures and other events surrounding the exhibit after the original proclamation leaves. So we really encourage everybody to come back and see it again, or to come to some of our other events. Many of the other cities that it has been in, people have had to pay $20 plus to get a ticket to see this. So we were able to offer it, free to our visitors because of the generosity of the Tennessee legislature. Oh, I have heard some amazingly emotional stories after people come through the line, take their time to see both the Emancipation Proclamation and 13th Amendment. I've heard stories of people that knew that their grandparents or great-grandparents were slaves, and what it meant to see this document that freed so many people. they see the letters that were written by slaves that had their families separated. Many times it wasn't unusual for a family to have a husband and wife sold to different plantations. Their children were sold to different plantations. And there's letters in this exhibit from some of those slaves asking when will we be free? When will we really be reunited? This exhibit also documents through early photographs. The Civil War was one of the first wars that was photographed, because photography was the new technology then. And Matthew Brady, he was one of the most famous photojournalists of our times. This exhibit is full of his photography and his images, and he not only documented the horrors of war, but also the horrors of slavery. And I think that's very important for us to see today and for generations to come, so that we'll know how far we've come in the last 150 years of the history of the United States of America. This exhibit, I admit, was timely for us for a lot of reasons. Not only is it Black History Month, we opened the exhibit on Lincoln's birthday. One of the kind of cool things that happened on Lincoln's birthday is Lincoln impersonators came to visit. I walked out on the floor and it was like, well, happy birthday, President Lincoln. We're open tomorrow, which is President's Day. So the original Emancipation Proclamation opened on Lincoln's birthday, is closing on President's Day. That's been sort of a timely thing, and thank goodness we haven't had the snowstorms that have hit the Northeast, so we've been able to accommodate all of our visitors.